The need to euthanise a horse, cliffs of Moor, after last week's Melbourne Cup has prompted the usual debate about animal cruelty. Tonight, two racing insiders, once staunch advocates for the sport, are criticising the way it treats its champions. 7:30 has tracked down the vet in charge of Cliffs of Moor's autopsy to find out what went wrong and why the horse had to be put down. Ashlyn McGee reports.
My view of the whole horse racing industry has changed dramatically, probably 180 degrees since I started. I guess in 48 years I've seen a lot. They're such loyal, beautiful animals and they're being exploited to the max.
I just think it's cruel. I think it needs to make some major reforms if it wants to stay sustainable and popular.
Okay, well don't play, don't come in our industry. Go and do something a little bit more worthwhile than talking about our industry.
At the back of the field, the Cliffs of Moor has gone amiss and kicked a couple of runners.
The death of the foreign favourite in the Melbourne Cup has attention back on the welfare of racehorses. 6 horses have died in the past 6 Melbourne Cups.
Well, it's shattering, particularly for us who are trying to work towards prevention, and yet they're still happening. I find that very, hard to take.
Whenever a horse dies on a Victorian racetrack, Professor Chris Whitten does the autopsy. He's still investigating what caused Cliffs of Moor to shatter its right shoulder partway through last week's race.
And looking closely at the bone to see if there's any evidence that the bone was responding inappropriately or there was any pre-existing weakness there.
Unlike other sports, leg injuries can be life and death for racehorses.
If the injury is so severe that on the assessment of the veterinarian attending the horse at the racetrack it cannot be fixed, they will be euthanised on the spot because there's no point having the horse suffer any longer if it's going to be put down later anyway.
And over the years I've seen a lot of cruel acts administered out to horses and it's shocked me quite a lot.
Racing's been in Peter Kirkensov's blood for nearly 50 years. Until last year he was a respected vet surgeon to elite horses, trackside at Newmarket in England and in the sale yards at the Magic Millions on the Gold Coast.
Well, I loved horses in the beginning and that's why I became a veterinary surgeon. These horses are busting their guts to do their best on the racetrack and they end up getting flogged at the end and then everybody's cheering. It's just doesn't seem right. I see so many horses racing that are unfit. Primarily, and a lot of it's to do with their feet. Many are as a result of poor foot lower limb conformation, poor farriery, which translates into poor biomechanics, and the horses then suffer exercise-induced injuries and break down.
It's a bit of a horse thing, isn't it? They get hurt in paddocks and, in the wild they get hurt and, it's an animal thing, isn't it? Rather than it's not specific to racing is what I'm saying.
You'll find trainer Mick Price trackside at Caulfield nearly every morning at dawn.
We hate any sort of injury to horses or anything bad that happens to them. It's disgusting for us. We love our horses. We look after race horses a lot better than some people look after other people.
Come on! When you get a high-profile horses dying in the Melbourne Cup, I just think the perception is very bad for horse racing.
Sandra Jorgensen was once a trainer too, racing horses around country New South Wales.
You just get this adrenaline rush and you get addicted to it. And even now, I really miss not training the horses, but I'm more interested in improving the welfare of the horses in the industry these days. What's really important is the longevity of horses, that we're not seeing all these horses leave because they're broken down or lame.
So we think that racehorse death should be avoidable. The limb injuries that we investigate are predominantly due to accumulation of damage over time.
Racing Victoria is part funding Professor Chris Whitten's research, and he says the industry is paying attention.
They need to lift their game and care more about the horse that's at the centre of the whole industry. Otherwise they'll end up going the same way as the greyhound industry.
That out of the 25 million people in Australia, the majority of it support horse racing, like horse racing, enjoy it, get involved in it, and it ain't going anywhere.